And as always, we begin with a quote. Revelation chapter 6, verse 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him was Death, and hell followed with him. Lesh, you have handed the reins over to Onsilis. You are mid-air towards Bieta. Your sword is drawn. What are your thoughts as you are hurling yourself towards him? This mass of bulbous power.
I think that Lesh, in those moments, has two thoughts. I must get to Kaliak, and let's see if the gifts of a god are truly gifts.
Okay. You plunge your sword into the metal that encases Bieta's body like a carapace, and you feel the power suddenly rushing towards you. From the sword, as it strikes, branching brambles jut out, and the beast screeches and rears back. With your grip on that sword, you feel the impact of a blow. The sword's relinquished from the body, and you go flying towards the direction in which Kaliak is being taken. Onsilis, what are you doing?
I think at this point, he's wrapped away the idol and the honey and tucked his things back into his bag, with Lesh having handed over the reins and flying into the air. He's kind of righted himself on the horse and grabbed a hold of those. I think he's going to spur the horse onward toward Lesh when he sees him flung.
Okay. Do you do anything else while you're riding, or you're just low to the horse, riding as fast as you can?
Yeah, he's low to the horse. He can't really cast or do anything like that as he's riding. So his mindset is to get to Lesh. You said he was flung towards the direction.
Yep. And
where Kaliak is going.
He's going about 50 feet, and he's hitting the ground hard.
Okay, yeah, he's gonna try to ride over there to get him up off the ground and back onto the horse.
Yep. Okay. Radek, what are you doing?
I'm ordering Yaga to keep following Cyril, like keep an eye, like flying eye, and just kind of keeping an eye so that I can find him. I think when he sees Lesh being flung back like that, he's going to sort of pull up for a moment and look over and just kind of see how that's resolving itself. And then when he sees that Anselus is driving towards there and heading towards Lesh, he figures that Anselus probably has this well in hand. I think he's going to kind of stand up as much as he can and try to kind of take a look over the battlefield and get an idea of where everyone is in relations to one another, and sort of where Kaliak is and where, like, just kind of get a lay of the land sort of thing.
When you turn around to look to see what happened with Lesh, you see Bieta faltering but moving still. The brambles are starting to wind and twist around his body, and he's this bulbous shape with this big pointed head like a helm that reaches towards the sky. And when he moves, you can hear coins and metal sort of rambling around within his body, but he is hurt badly by this sword, by the blood blade. And he is moving towards Onsilis with his great club raised up into the air. And Radek, you see it. You see the Black Wolf of the North in full view, No more a shadow, no more a snout coming through the woods. You see this mass of black fur and teeth and claws and silver eyes. And it pounces on Bieta, knocking it down, giving Onslus that last chance to get to Lesh. Onslus, you would hear this. This is a thunder of a sound. The massive paws. This is a beast that stands above the treetops. And it growls at you. It is telling you to ride. Radek, when you look back at the battlefield below, you see a valley within the foothills of the spine, and you see exactly what you were up against. You see the entirety of the apostate synod. 1,500 men stand ready to fight you all, and there is 4 of you. Kaliak amongst them. When you spot her face, you see blood gushing out of her nose. You know that she is controlling the Black Wolf. She's buying you all time. Lesh, Onslus is riding towards you. Do you reach up and grab for his hand? I'm assuming that's what you're doing, Onslus, or are you getting off of the horse?
I am going to use a luck point
By
for
all
Onslus to muster every ounce of strength in his string bean body to get this Hulk on the back of that horse, or even better, on the front in front of him.
That's perfect. You got it. You got it. You reach down, and Lesh, you are seeing that hand coming towards you, and just as you grab it, you have never seen strength from a body like this before. This is adrenaline. This is power. This is desperation. Heaving you up over onto the horse in front of him.
I think Lesh, slides right into the saddle and, with the one free hand that he has, because his other hand's, gripping the sword, he spurs the horse on, and I think in this moment, he looks back at Onslus and just says, "I knew you loved me."
Onslus, there's no response. He's eyes frantically darting around them to see if there is anything close to them, if anything is catching up to them. He is fully on watch now as Lesh is spurring this horse forward.
You don't see anything behind you, but you do see that mass. It's an army before you, and Kaliak at that center. Her eyes have started to roll into the back of her head. She is seizing already, but she's controlling the wolf.
I think I'm going to ride towards Onslus and Lesh at this point, because I need some direction. I'm going to ride up to them, and I'm going to say, I get a sense she's trying to buy us time, but I don't know if she's trying to buy us time to get to her or to get out of here. We can't let her fall into their hands.
We can't leave her. We have to get to her.
There's at least 1,500 men down there. There's really not much we can do.
Storyteller. Narrator.
Yes.
Looking at his odds in the valley, and then peering back to this Lord of Blight. What would he think of their odds at this point?
If Kaliak can kill the Lord of Blight using the wolf, you'd have pretty good odds, but you've got to be able to let her keep that magic going. And welcome in, Raiders.
Welcome in, Jay. Hello, Raiders. Thanks for that resub, Jay. Hey, guys, we're just getting into it tonight, thrown straight into battle. That's great.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's nothing bad could happen. We're totally safe. If you guys just came in, we are doing a giveaway tonight for a really cool set of dice. All you got to do is hit ! enter and be here at the end of the stream for the drawing.
So, to answer your question, I'm going to counter it. How desperate is Onslaught to protect Kaliak right now?
Incredibly.
Then ride. Do what you think is best, whatever you think that Onslaught is willing to do to save her right now. Because if you don't, she will die.
I was going to ask, what does her heart feel like in this moment?
A flutter, like a hummingbird.
Oh, then there's no option, especially if Onslaught is on the back with Lesh. That horse is spurred on, like it found that extra to get fucking going.
Very good. All right, I'm going to ask Onslaught, what are you doing? You're on the back of the horse. You have free hands, so you can go ahead and cast if you would like.
I guess I could cast this. He's digging through his bag. He is, as they're riding away from this monstrous beast, he is very hurriedly digging through his things, pulling out a small gold chalice, another unmarked bottle of the liquid. So I think I'll spend the rest of this round kind of preparing for what I'll cast in the next. Granted, we're not too far away by the next round.
No, you're, they've noticed you approaching for certain. You see men, Radic men that you once called brother, men that fought beside you, men that cared for you, men that raised you, ready to kill you. And you can hear over the cacophony of chaos, Radic, you can hear Cyril laughing at you. Lesh, what are you doing?
How close are we?
I am not a good person to ask about distance. I'm going to say you're probably about 200 feet away.
Oh, okay, so we're still a good distance away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I think in that, right? If Onslaught's arms are in any way, shape, or form out,
mm-hmm.
right? If they're out, I think that he would grab the shield off the side of the horse and slip it onto Onslaught's back.
Okay.
When the sky turns dark, lean forward. That's all he's gonna say. And continue. He's just gonna. He is hard charging. He's hoping. He's very much hoping that as he can feel her heartbeat, she can feel his grip.
Okay. Radic, what are you doing?
Just following these two upon my stag, and trying to keep them clear. Like if anyone's like coming up to flank them or coming up to them, like he'll ride off and like try to get them either with a spear or with, having the stag kind of,
mm-hmm.
horn them out of the way or whatever. Just kind of try to protect their flank, like, and move it back and forth on either side and keeping them safe.
Excellent. I would like to remind all of you that in our darkest hours, in this pouring rain that you're riding through, that as the Apostate Synod is beginning to now charge, that Onslaught once said something profound, that he has hope. You think for a moment, Onslaught, you were seeing the sun in the sky. And in the thundering of your heartbeat, you hear a word behind you. Loose. As you ride towards these warriors, you see an arrow, a flame, and then a volley. Do you look behind you?
You.
You see Artyom and his riders. The men with the badger and the Iron Army. Those men outside, as withered as they are, they have picked up arms. You were never alone in this fight. What do? You're now riding as fast as you can with Lesh at the helm. I would say you're probably 100 feet away. They're making ground. They're probably closing in.
How far am I from that Lord of Blight?
I'd say probably about 50 feet at this point.
How long do I think I'll be up against the army? Do I think I have a little bit more give there?
I'd say so, now that you have Artyom and his men and this makeshift militia now riding behind you to back you up.
He has his tome out and open, and it's wedged between him and the back of Lesh. The golden chalice is in his hand. It is filled with a clear water. And he has very forcibly ripped that golden sun pendant from his neck, and he prays into it. He whispers against the coin as he does this and dips it into the water. And as he does, his eyes move to the Lord of Blight, to the sky above him. And he's calling the dawn down onto that Lord at least one time, just to give her a fighting chance against it before they get up against this army.
Okay. The sun is a remarkable thing. And you hear behind you the screech of that Lord of Blight. It is an unholy sound. You have done some significant damage. Can you tell us what it looks like?
I think he feels the dawn before it is seen, and he feels it like a fire inside of his belly. He knows his God is on his side. All those years of prayers met with silence until this morning when he could feel her. And he feels her stronger than he's ever felt her right now. And as he dunks that coin, the clouds split open and a blade of sunlight cuts through them and slices into that Lord of Blight.
You hear a yelp from the wolf as it leaps back. You don't really sense that it's been damaged, but frightened. And then you hear the sound of teeth on metal. The shake of a head like a toy. Kaliak has that fighting chance, and now so do you. Lesh, the enemy is upon you.
I think as the distance closes, Lesh would want right before the horse makes contact with those front ranks of individuals, he would yell over his shoulder, "Lean with me," as he rears the sword up above his head to make a cavalry strike in a downward motion, using his momentum and the horse side to side, clearing off any path that would be to the two immediate flanks, ensuring that there is nothing to mess with whatever Onsilus is doing on the back of the horse.
Excellent. Radek, you see, or rather hear, this Lord of Blight being injured in such a way that is nearly as divine as Kaliak, if not just as. You see the volley of arrows now hitting apostate synod cultists square in the chest, in the face, knocking them down. The fire is incredible to see in the sky, like a shooting star, like you saw in the Great Ichor. You see Onsolus with his magic. You see Lesh with his blade. What is your next move?
I think Radek laughs out loud at how absolutely stupid and silly he is up here with his little stick and his little spear when these gods are swinging and calling down the sunlight and all that. And I think he has a pretty good laugh about the whole ridiculousness of his life in this particular instance. And he's going to call out to Yaga and try to get a bead on Cyril and Kaliak, sort of where they are, because at this point it's clear these guys got this handled. So he's going to try to keep track of them and just sort of make sure he knows where they are in case for whenever, like, just so we don't lose them in the fray, basically.
You keep track of him, and you see Cyril gripping the front of the new dress Kaliak wears as she is limp while controlling the black wolf. He rips it forward off of her chest like it's nothing. You see him reaching for something, Radek. You realize he is gripping an obsidian blade. You realize he is holding it above her chest, and he is ready to cave in her rib cage. Onsolus, what are you doing? Are you still casting?
I am still casting, but my focus has changed now. I'm shifting. I turn when Lesh tells me to lean with him, and I lean forward against his body and kind of sway with him through these movements. And as I do, I'm still holding that cup. I'm still whispering to that pendant, and now I'm sneaking glances above his shoulder, looking to the sky above this army, calling the dawn once more with another dunk that pendant into the water. I believe this, I basically choose a space to call down. How far am I at this point? How close are we to them?
Pretty close. You're getting into that first initial rank of warriors coming through, and Lesh is kind of chopping through them.
And Radek, where are you riding in at? Are you basically at our side?
Yeah, I was clearing the sides until Lesh started doing it. So now he's sort of just, I guess, kind of on the flank and trying to keep an eye on what's his face up there. If I get an opportunity, I think I'll try to get Yaga to aim for that dagger. But that's pretty much the extent of what I can do.
I think Onsolus is going to drop this next beam down to any enemies immediately in front of Radek, knowing that Lesh is very talented with his sword, and we have like this army behind us essentially.
Yep. And they're
kind of like cutting in slowly on them. It'll hit in a 15-foot radius. Okay. Sorry.
Perfect. Radek, before you, this beam of sunlight crashes down, and I mean, men, their bodies go flying along with gravel and dirt and mud, and it is incredible. It is righteous, and you feel that righteousness. And you have a path cleared out for you within that 15 feet radius, so you can move a little bit further. Lesh, what are you doing?
He is riding as hard as he can, cutting a very bloody mess in his path to get to Kaliak.
Okay. You are doing so, and you're swinging hard.
Am I leaving like little brambles everywhere because I'm using the black sword?
Well, if you're using the blood blade, yes, absolutely. There are brambles of ichor sort of being cropped up through the bodies as you are cutting through them. And as men run, they trip and fall on some of these thorny brambles and find themselves most definitely impaled. The army of Artyom behind you is doing what they can to cut through, but they are few, and this is 1,500 apostate synod you are fighting. This is an army. This is massive. Radek, are you doing anything further other than trying to get to Kalyak?
I mean, I don't. I'm obviously fighting my way through them, and trying to get to them. But I don't have anything that I can do other than just sort of ride and keep going. So I would like to try and get to prevent Cyril from using the dagger on Kalyak in some way. But other than that, I don't have like. I'm riding. I'm killing dudes, I guess.
That's perfect. That's great. That's perfect. I'm going to use a luck point. Onslaught, you peek over Lesh's shoulder just at the right time. You see Cyril. You see Kalyak. You see the dagger drive down through her chest. You see the blood spurting out. And there is a moment of utter silence. You are within oblivion once more. You see flashes of Kalyak leaning forward. You see her kneeling. You see death standing above her, holding her mouth open as it pours ichor down her throat. And oblivion is gone. And you see Cyril knocked back. And just as you do, you feel a thump on the back of your head. And you are taken from the horse. You're the wind knocked out of you, and you feel a body crawling over top of you with his hands finding your throat. Lesh. An arrow flies from the apostate synod, and it hits your shoulder. Not your fighting arm, but enough to make you stagger and fall. Radek, you are surrounded, and the stag panics and rears back. And in the sky, you see a small, pale body beginning to lift upwards. Her limbs are limp and frozen in time. And you are reminded, Onslaught, as your heart thumps in your ears, you can hear his voice. Just as clear as you did in the Great Ichor. Do not fear the gift of death. What is running through your mind right now, Onslaught, as this cultist is straddling you and squeezing your throat?
I have to keep going. I can't fail her. We've come too far and done too much. Now is not my time.
What do you do?
He reaches for the dagger on his hip. And he's gonna attempt to drive that obsidian blade underneath the chin of this cultist up into his skull. I would like to use a luck point for that.
Save it.
Oh.
The blood is warm as it washes over you. sputtering from the wounds over your face. You can taste the cruelty within this man. Lesh, you're off the horse, an arrow driven through your shoulder. You're at risk of being trampled in the fray. What is your thought?
On your feet. On your feet. Keep moving. And I think he reaches over his shoulder in, oddly enough, almost like a practiced movement, slicing off the shaft of the arrow in his back and drawing his normal sword and continuing to charge forward towards Kaliak, or Kaliak's body in this case. Just mentally, I won't fail again. I will not fail again.
You see a familiar face, Lesh. Or at least you think you do. You do a double take and you swear you just saw your father in the tree line. Radek, you're spurred onto the ground. You have blades at your throat. What are your thoughts?
Radek feels defeated in this moment. He suddenly realizes that he let himself be blinded by this sudden kind of idea that perhaps if he bought into all this and went along with this, he might get to see his wife again. But in this moment, he realizes that if Anselus with the power of a god and Lesh with an artifact of a god can't get through this, can't turn the tide, he has zero chance of doing anything. And he sort of, in this moment, realizes that he should have never forgotten what his purpose was. His purpose was to find and kill his brother. There was no bringing back his wife, no bringing back the dead. And because he kind of bought into that, he let himself get driven into a situation that he has no power over. And I think he really struggles in that moment, trying to figure out if it's worth even fighting anymore. I think he really has a moment of deep despair, and being surrounded by this group of men, I think he just sort of smiles and laughs a little bit and realizes that straying from the path doesn't get you where you're supposed to be going, and he shouldn't have strayed from the path. And I don't think he's going to try the fight anymore. I think he's really feeling the depths of that despair of sort of seeing all these thousands of men around him and all these things going on that are so beyond his understanding and his ability to cope with. I think he's kind of paralyzed in that moment, overwhelmed by all of it.
Okay. Anselus, there in the tree line, you see a pale horse. And you see that cloaked figure that you saw in the Great Ichor. His face hidden, his hands gnarled. And he called upon an army. His most precious gift is in stasis there, 30 feet above. She's dying, and he will not allow this. You do see him, Lesh. You see the ghostly apparition of your father on the Calvary. You see men that you have fought with who have fallen. You see strangers all in that familiar armor. Before you is Zotka's army of ghosts, and they are rushing. You have a chance now, as the apostate synod is now face to face with a god. He has returned. They have not noticed that you're alive, Onslus. What do you do?
Are there many around me?
Plenty. But they're now rushing towards that army of dead.
Well, seeing that my things were spilled, I don't have much of an option here.
They're not far from you. They're just within reach. You didn't go too far.
I would like to use a luck point
Okay.
to say that Onslus is a clever man. He has done loads and loads of reading. He knows a fair amount of tomes and knows of tomes and has studied them greatly.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tome for weathering with certain components, and Onslus suspects that perhaps if he changed a few of those components, that he could create an opposite effect.
Okay.
And I would like to try that.
By all means.
Are there bodies around me now?
Yeah, plenty. Both of Artyom's men and apostate synod.
He reaches for iron on the ground.
Easy, no problem.
He takes the dagger in his hand and he begins trying to almost shave off bits of iron he can.
Mm-hmm.
Even going so far as maybe grabbing a rock on the ground and hitting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can do that for sure.
He takes that iron and he jams it into his water skin and begins shaking it vigorously. And as he does so, he's reaching into his bag. He's doing this all laying down still. He doesn't want to draw too much attention to himself.
That's fine.
He removes a handful of quartz shards that he's been holding on to, and he opens up the water skin again and begins whispering and praying inside of it before dunking those quartz shards in there and beginning to shake again. Now this spell would have originally been salt inside of an empty water skin that was shaken with quartz and poured into a puddle to hopefully alleviate the storms and the rain. But he's added iron and the quartz and is shaking them and throwing them into the nearest puddle to try to evoke a lightning storm.
Abso-fucking-lutely. The crack of thunder above your head is incredible. It's odd to see a thunderstorm this close to the mountains, this far west, and it is incredible. And you feel the lightning, you can taste it, the static energy, as it has started to erupt, and Sansei is most pleased. I will add to this for you now. You have a chance to direct it. Where are you putting it?
He is praying to Sanse that it finds the iron of his foes on this battlefield.
It's like a chain effect. It starts with one, and then another, and another, and then suddenly men are dropping like flies. They're rattled and dead before they hit the ground. Empty, vacant eyes. They had no idea what was going to happen. Lesh, you see as your father, in his ghostly form, has returned to battle with you. What are you doing?
Is he near me, or is he just, I see him on the field of battle?
He is near you. He's not far, within shouting distance.
I think he yells, "Finally we draw steel together, Papa!" And I think he like turns, not wanting to savor the moment, only because he knows that this moment will not last. And he sets about a soldier's work.
You cut through men as Onslaugh's power, the thunder and the lightning, is dropping them. And you see him. You see Cyril scrambling to his feet. He looks wide-eyed at the scene before him. It was not supposed to be this way. You see the rotten teeth in his head. And the way that he hisses like an animal. This is a madman before you. The man that killed your father. The man that's killing Kaliak now. Radek, you are free from those weapons pointed at you. The men drop as lightning hits them. You have a chance now to get up.
I was going to say that having kind of gotten to that, the lowest point of having completely reached, the depths of despair, he no longer has any fear of death or anything. Is he knows it's over, he knows it's done, so why not kind of just try to get as close as possible and just kind of, So I kind of saw him getting up and just completely dispassionate, completely void of emotion, just start walking towards Cyril, and just, I'll spend a luck point if I have to, but just without trying, without even like making any kind of an effort, just because he's so completely given up on everything. He doesn't fear death. He doesn't care anymore. He just kind of brazenly walks up and just kind of dispatching anyone who gets up in his way with his spear as he goes there without even looking at them. Just this kind of cold, empty sort of shell, just walking through, and by virtue of just that boldness, like kind of slowly making his way through and cutting through. And I think at first he's going to head towards Anselus to make sure Anselus is all right, but then he's going to beeline towards Cyril. And again, it's just that kind of dead-eyed, just kind of like an automaton almost, moving forward and killing whoever gets in his way, and walking towards his intended goal.
His eyes are now up on Kaliak, and Radek, you see Lesh joining you opposite of the battlefield. You both emerge from this sea of battle, facing one another with Cyril between you. Both men who wish to see him dead now have their chance. Onslaught, what are you doing? Are you going to cast again?
Yeah, what's the battlefield looking like in terms of enemies?
It's getting pretty empty.
I think at this point, Onslaught stands from the mud and the muck. His hair is matted with it. It's smeared across the front of his face and down his robes. and he is walking steadily forward, still with that water skin in his hand, and he is just shaking it out into the ground, a determined look on his eye, his mouth muttering prayers to his god, calling her to strike down the iron of his foes once more.
The rain is pouring so heavily that you're nearly blinded by it. And you were just taking down mass amounts of men at a time. You can feel the energy, the electricity surging for you, through you. And Onslus, you feel so powerful right now. You feel strong.
Don't want to let that boon from my god go to waste, would I?
It's almost like you can feel her smile. Lash, you see Radek come out the other side. You see bodies dropping. You see Cyril there. You have a chance. What are you doing?
Going for Kaliak.
She's 30 feet in the air, floating.
Oh, I thought it was her, like, different thing.
No.
I think that in that he would... He would try to make his way towards Cyril.
Radek, do you go at the same time?
Radek is going to go, but I think he is going to do a thing where he's going to start running like he's going to charge, but then suddenly throw his spear, and he's going to try to get him in the leg to sort of pin him down maybe and allow Lesh to get to him.
You do it easy, no problem. He cries out, and in his madness, he looks at you, Radek, confused. Where is father, brother?
You would know better than I.
I don't know where I am. And I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Onslus, you feel another surge of power. You cast again.
If I still see enemies, I'm still casting.
The last of the men fall. For a moment, you swear you saw the sunlight just behind your eyes.
Like he falls to his knees in the mud and tilts his head up to the sky and lets the rain hit him in the face and wash away all that dirt, calling his praise to Sanse as he does so.
You will get something for this, and we will visit that later. But you feel that strength. It's not waning. Lesh, you see a very confused Cyril. He looks almost pathetic and scared. He's dropped his weapons. He's looking to Radek. He's begging for his help now. Where is our father? Where is he? The rain is blinding, but you can see the body of a man who killed your father, now begging for his own.
He sees Radek. And he tosses his steel blade to Radek. Vengeance of spurned sons will be had.
Radek.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm calling on you.
Can I approach Cyril?
Yeah.
I think Radek will catch the sword and plant it into the ground and approach Cyril, and he drops his shield and he's just got his hand axe out, and he's going to put he's going to sort of just put his axe over Cyril's shoulder and pull him towards him, and he's going to give Lesh a look of hold on a second, don't go anywhere. And he's going to lean down into Cyril's face and he's going to say, if you're truly confused right now, then I pity you. But you let the desires and the faiths and the beliefs of other men and their false idols and their false gods guide you. You let their lies make you believe things. You let them take you and make what they wanted of you, and never once did you think of standing up for yourself and saying no, saying this is wrong, saying I won't do this because you are lying, you are liars, your gods are lies, your fate is a lie. And so for that, I don't pity you, because you chose this way, and you were a fool. And now, I look up at Lesh, and I just grab Cyril's head and pull it to the side, and I nod to Lesh.
You do not deserve this death. And I think he raises the sword up just above his mouth. And he looks down at him. This would be a soldier's death. A clean death. I hope you're awake for every agonizing moment. And he slams the black blade down his throat until he feels the ground connect with his blade, letting the bramble just flow out of it.
There is silence. Beth's army begins to recede. Last you see your father ride by, and he looks at you. He says nothing, but there is pride in his eyes, as only a father could know. Death looks to Kaliak, and the blade in her chest shatters, and her body falls all 30 feet to the ground. She falls with a crumble. That broken body, that black wolf still destroying the Lord of Blight like it's a treat. The amount of blood that covers her isn't necessarily from her chest, but from her face, and now it is replaced with ichor. There's no seizing like when you saw with Uzovka. She is just as still as though she were dead. Artyom and his men and the Iron Army stand stalwart as you all have a moment to pick yourselves up and deal with this.
I think Onslus slowly comes to stand. He looks out into the field. The rain has died back some. of course, it doesn't end. And I would go as far as to say, because this spell cast in its true form lasts 8 hours, that they can probably still hear the softer, quieter roll thunder across the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to march across the mud towards Kaliak's body.
When you get to it, what do you do?
He kneels down to her, attempts to feel for a pulse, looks around to his companions. Erratic and specific, he knows that he is a healer.
Radek, what do you do?
Erratic turns his back on his dead brother and looks over at Anselus and Kaliak. He'll approach slowly and take a look at Kaliak. Do I feel that there's anything at all I can do?
You feel a pulse. It's faint, barely noticeable, but it's there. You know you need to get her inside, out of the rain. You know that you need to deal with the shattered obsidian in her chest. But she's alive.
Radek will kneel next to the two of them and take a look at Kaliak briefly. And then he'll look at Anselus and say, we have to get her inside, somewhere dry and warm. And you have to keep your hopes in check.
Let's take her back to the village.
I'm going to turn around and look for something to build a... fuck you call that in English and Sevilla? Like a thing to put her on to...
A
litter.
stretcher?
A stretcher, that's the word.
Yeah.
He's going to look around to try and find some way to make a stretcher.
There's not really a whole lot. It's a battlefield that's covered in mud.
I feel like Anselus looks to Lesh when he makes the comment of getting her back to town.
Oh, Lesh has already whistled for his damn horse. Like, straight up, pick her up, whatever state she's in. He's not going to do the throw her over the lap thing out of fear, but he's going to cradle her like a child.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I will tell you, there's still pieces of obsidian in her chest. Be careful how you move her. You could do more damage.
I think that he, like, nods as best as he can, and he spurs the shit out of that horse.
Artium calls out to you all to take her to my great hall. We will send everyone that can help there, anybody. You can hear him curse because he just lost his Hearth Witch. That would be who you would really need. But she's dead.
I didn't want her to die, I'll just say that.
Sees. You ride back to the city. I'm assuming Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I would
You're
like
fine.
to do something.
Yeah.
As everyone's kind of leaving and all that, I will go to Cyril. I'm assuming that Lesh took his sword back out of his chest.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
it's not? Okay.
No.
I'm going to kneel in front of him. I'm going to tell everyone to go, that I need a moment to sort of come to terms with.
I think
all of this.
Anselus is just standing there because his ride went back to town.
There's a horse somewhere I'm sure you can borrow, but yeah, you can stand there.
And I think if you stand there, you're going to see Radek get annoyed.
I feel like Anselus would give you space. Like, he's not like standing right there like, like he's like turned and is like walking back toward the village, but it's at a slow pace, like he's gonna catch up when he is ready to catch up kind of thing, but he's not rushing back to the village.
I think Radek watches him go and sighs. Then looks down at his brother and goes, I guess I don't eat your heart then. And he's gonna push the body down to the ground and get up and go and pick up his spear and his shield.
Okay.
And I know that, there's probably a horse or something, so he'll try to finagle a horse and then he'll ride up to Anselus with the horse. And just trot up next to him and not say anything. Just keep trotting next to Anselus, not say anything. Then look down at him, go, slow going.
Yeah, you mind giving me a ride back into town?
But you mean you can't fly or anything like that?
I haven't read that one yet.
And he'll stop the horse and he'll make a big show of contemplating whether or not to do this. All right, then, I guess. You can hop on. He'll extend his hand down and help you up.
Onslus is back to being like awkward pants Onslus and like scrambles onto the horse.
Radek will look over his shoulder. Hold on tight. We're gonna ride hard.
All right.
Then he's gonna wrap his hand around Anselus's hand and just press it against his stomach. And just ride hard for town.
Okay.
Oh
Lash,
my.
you're the first one to make it back to the Great Hall. There's a group of men there, both Iron Army and the insurrectionists, who are there waiting for you. RTM and his wife and daughters are there. Agnieszka is pushing through. There is relief on her face when she sees you alive, albeit you still have an arrow sticking out of your shoulder that we've yet to address. We'll deal with that when that happens. You're fine.
He's still running on adrenaline.
I didn't forget about it, trust me. I know it's there.
I didn't forget about it, but we just haven't dealt with it yet.
Combat adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
RTM is there reaching out to take Kalyak from you.
I think he pushes past him. Like
Okay.
he pushes past, and the moment there's like a table or something along those lines that's near the hearth, like he straight up just fucking knocks everything off of it that he can, screaming for blankets, stuff along, any of that stuff, right, to make her as comfortable and get her as close to the fire as he can.
Yeah, she's filthy. She is bloody and covered in mud. Her dress, that precious little dress, the Vivashnik dress, is gone. You can see, though, you feel it as you're carrying her, you feel the scar has grown on her back.
I think he puts her down. And he knows how to kill people, not to save people. But he does know what a heartbeat feels like. And I think he instinctively grabs the hilt of the black blade to see if he can feel her heart.
It's barely there. It's slow and quiet, but it's there.
Seeing her broken and struggling for life, he does something he's not done in many years. He whispers a small prayer. I do not care who hears me or who answers. But it is not this one's time yet. See her through it. Make me believe again.
Lesh, as you whisper out the last of your prayer, you are now sort of pushed away a little bit as women and men flood into the Great Hall. Healers, or at least would be, mostly wives with home remedies, sort of watching over her and talking amongst themselves to figure out what the next process is to save the Divine Arcane. But there are others who are looking to you and looking for a word. Those Iron Army soldiers are standing with the insurrectionists. It seems on friendly ground. Do you go over to them?
I do.
Once you do, flip over to Onslus and Radek. You're making it back to town. What do you do? What are you talking about?
I'm just holding Onsulus's hand.
I think once we get into town and dismount, Onslus is going to look to Radek. I think I might have something that could help with healing the girl. And he opens the satchel at his side and begins to dig through it. And he pulls from it a small leather-bound book. It is old and worn, but looks like it has been loved dearly. It is dog-eared on a page. He hands it over. My master, Tikomir, in the Iron City, he was quite the accomplished herbalist. He spent a lot of time in the Great Archives reading about the arts. In here you'll find some of his recipes. Perhaps something in here may be of use to you. He opens the book to the dog-eared page. Perhaps you would recognize this one quite well. And you would see at the top a list of ingredients that you would recognize as the ingredient list that Onslus always brought to you when he would come to buy from you. And you would see that it is a tincture for the withering sickness. Something that before now, you know, has never really been a cure for it. This is not a recipe you've ever seen.
Haddock looks down at the book. He reaches out his left hand, grabs it, but then grabs your hand with the right hand, with his arm, and he pulls Ancellus between him and the horse, and sort of squeezes Ancellus between him and the horse. And he gets right up close to his face and he says, "What the fuck are you?"
I am a man who's spent a lot of time studying the old ways, looking at lore that few eyes have seen in 1,000 years.
You make the sun fall out of the sky and destroy your enemies. And you're going to sit there, and he presses up even closer against you. His cheek right up to yours and his mouth close to your ear. And you're gonna stand there. And you're gonna say that you're just a man. I've known men. I've known many men. None of them half as pretty as you. And certainly, none of them who could call down the sun to destroy their enemies. He's gonna back away, and he's gonna hand you back the book. And he's gonna say, you're gonna have to tell me what it says, because I don't know how to read. And he's gonna walk inside the house.
I think Onsilis takes a hard swallow. And he looks down to the book and cracks open the spine and begins flipping through the pages, looking for something useful.
You do find something useful. You know, Onsilis, that obsidian is dangerous for a witch. You can control her with it. And you can assume more than likely that's what Cyril was trying to do. Thus the choice of blade. But through Tikomir's writings, you see something of the word toxic. Poison to a witch. You need an antidote. Luckily for you, the antidote is written right there. Okay.
Yeah, I think as he's flipping through, he's reading these things. He's doing the thing where he's like texting and walking, you know? Maybe like trips up the first stair on the way up. Part of it's nerves. He did just get squished by a very smelly man against an equally smelly horse.
Fair enough.
And he's gonna follow Radek inside.
To get inside, you have to kind of get past this group of women outside mourning and keening. They assume that Kaliak is dead. They are sort of swarmed around. They have their children. They're sobbing. They're calling out to the gods. But when you do, the interior is even more chaotic. Men and women are sort of fluttering about. Some are arguing as to what the next course of action is to help her as she lay limp on a table next to the hearth. You see Lesh standing there with the Iron Army and the insurrectionists in a group. Radek, what do you do?
When I walk in, I drop shield, spear, with as much of a clatter to the ground as I can, just to try to cut through the din.
You do, and it falls silent as all the eyes land on you.
I'm gonna look at them and I'm gonna say, anyone who wants to fucking cry and moan and wail can fucking go do so outside right the fuck now. All the crying and the wailing and the moaning outside.
I think you see Artyom there, and he gives a nod to one of his personal guard, and he is ushering people out of the room.
Is the girl here? What was her name?
Irina? Nope, that wasn't her name. I would
No,
love to
that
tell
was
you. That was the witch that you needed.
Yeah. Was it Mila?
Mila. It was Mila. Yep.
Right. Where's Mila?
I'm right here.
Did you bring things?
Standing behind you. She has a bag, and it's this canvas bag, and it is filled to the brim with probably every herb inside of that house.
Well, this'll do. I'll walk over to the table and dragging her behind me. And I'll look to see if Anselus is coming, because I am kind of curious about what's in that book, and, well, I can't read, so.
Yeah, Anselus steps up to your side. His eyes are still on the book. He's poisoned. The obsidian. Obsidian can be used to control a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And also poison them. There's an antidote here, and he's going to start rattling off the ingredients needed to both you and the girl.
As Mila hears you, she's just pulling out whatever herbs that you're rattling off. Poppy and marigold, thistle, whatever is being rattled. And she sort of looks nervously between the two of you. Now, while that's happening, I'd like to jump over to Lesh very quickly. Lesh, you are greeted with a singular nod from one of the Iron Army, the one that you'd given food to.
Well, I am glad to see you mostly made it. What were your casualties?
A few. 20 men. And the insurrectionists, the Badger, it's 150.
You did good to fight by these people, despite what they have done and not done, and the way that they have spurned you. Remember, a soldier's loyalty is not to a king or an emperor, but to his people. They are your people.
When it is quiet here and those two are done with the girl, I wish that we could perhaps take a moment to speak freely. I knew that she was a weapon, but I did not expect to see a black wolf of that size take down a Lord of Blight. I did not expect to see a skinny man call upon the sky like this. I don't ever want to see anything like that again. And I don't believe that handing her over to Bogumir will prevent me from seeing that ever again.
I think he leans in. Things that used to be are finding purchase again. And I cannot promise you that you will not see such things again. But I can promise you, you want to be on this side.
I understand. Radek, Mila is handing you these ingredients. The instructions that Anselus, I'm assuming Anselus, you're just reading out the instructions.
Yeah, I would think that he's reading it out, and there's like these little nuanced things that Tikumir is written in notes that he doesn't quite understand, but is relaying to them, almost like Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince when he gets the book of potions and there's all these little like, oh no, you do this with this and that's how you get this.
Yeah. Yep, that's perfect. And you're kind of going down the row there. You're meant to make sort of a poultice with this concoction, Radek, and which is all fine and good, but the trouble is there is a shard of obsidian sticking out of her chest.
Yeah, that's what I was going to sort of address while they're mixing all that stuff up and reading the book. I was going to take a look at that and see whether or not I felt that it was remotely safe to try and remove it, or how that would sort of play out.
You don't know. But you do know that she's better off with the risk of taking it out of her chest than she is leaving it in and letting the toxin get deeper into her bloodstream.
Okay, so I would prepare a couple of things while they're mixing the other thing. I would prepare whatever sort of, disinfectant or anything like that that would be used, something to pack the wound with if there's a lot of bleeding, kind of prepare everything that would be needed. He also probably washes his hands just out of kind of a reflex. And then once everything's kind of ready to handle that, I think he'll look at Lesh and he'll say, I need your help.
You have it.
Strong, steady hands. You need to pull this out. You need to pull it out quick. You need to pull it out without moving it in any way, shape, or form that it hasn't already moved, so we don't cause more damage.
I think Alesh looks, and I think in that moment, listening to his instructions, Lesh kind of straddles her body, so he knows that he's going to pull straight out.
And Radek looks at you like you're fucking insane and goes, wash your fucking hands.
There's a bowl. Mila has a bowl ready for you.
He puts his hands in it, and I think in that moment he reaches over on the back of his shoulder and pulls out the broken off arrow, drops it in the water bowl, continues to wash his hands, and then goes back, like with the blood running down his back, reaching down to grab this shard.
And I'm ready to, as soon as he pulls it out, put some stuff in and pack it up. And
there's a chance you can kill her.
Oh, I'm burning every luck point I have to ensure that she does not die during this.
I will let you burn one. No need to burn all of them.
This is my commitment to this, okay?
Okay. So with that luck point spent...
Which is why you're pulling it, because I wouldn't have. I would have been like, hey, she go.
With that luck point spent, you feel it loosen and come straight out. And Radek, you're on it like instantly. The blood doesn't pump. So for whatever medical knowledge Radek has, in reality, you understand that it did not hit an artery.
Okay.
It drools out of the wounds, and you can very easily pack it.
He'll say something like, well, she's lucky it's not life's blood. And I'll just sort of hurry, and he'll look over at the other two and go, how's that antidote coming along?
I imagine we're nearly finished if we're making a poultice situation.
Yeah.
I do want to say that even though Radek was doing a bunch of stuff, like he tried to pay attention to what the ingredients and the measurements and all that were, and I think maybe with his his experience and habit in dealing with these kinds of things, I would hope maybe he can remember it, but I'll let you decide that. But he would have paid attention to try and memorize what the ingredients and everything else was.
I think that's easily done. I think we don't need to do anything special for that. I think that this is Radek's realm. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You don't want to have like an Onslaught, Radek, like
late night study sesh
montage where he teaches you how to read.
Yeah, but I still also want to make sure that I know what the fucking... You think Radek could be able to focus?
What's the exchange there? Onslaught teaches him how to read. Radek teaches him how to be a man. What happens?
Whoa!
No.
Anyway,
welcome in, Raiders.
Hi, Raiders.
Measure.
Thank you so much for that raid, John. Welcome in, guys.
Hey, John. What can we...
Anyway, moving on before rocks fall and you all die. Yeah, Onslaught is wrapping it up effectively and is ready to go with it.
Well, I guess we find out if she continues to be lucky or not.
Okay. Do you hand it over and you can use it on the wound, Radek, and then fully pack the wound up?
I will do so.
Okay. There's no gasp of air or anything. She just looks like she's sleeping.
And I think as soon as he's done with this, he just kind of moves over to Lesh and starts checking the wound on his shoulder.
As you do that, and that's perfect, that's fine, as long as Lesh allows for that to happen, the Badger and the Iron Army soldier will kind of convene on you as well with Artyom. The Great Hall is empty, save for this small group. Mila even has sort of like scurried away. She understands that this is not a conversation she's to be privy to. You all fought well today. The insurrectionist begins. And he looks to the Iron Army soldier. We would not have been able to accomplish that volley without you and your men. We believe it is in everybody's best interest that we come up with some sort of agreement and a plan. They no longer wish to fight for Bogumir, and perhaps we can turn the tide in our favor when it comes to the army.
Radek's ignoring them and just trying to fix Lesh's shoulder.
Okay.
Who is speaking? Is it Artyom?
No, the Badger.
The Badger. Did you have something in mind?
My men and I work most efficiently through whispers and underground methods. Now, if we can send word to more trusted members of the Iron Army and perhaps up the ranks to any who might find dissent a more appealing idea, then perhaps we really do have an army against Emperor Bogumir.
I think Onslaught looks to Lesh to see his reaction to this.
Lesh has a look of defeat.
Why do you look so down?
I don't know how to tell you this, Badger. But your numbers are amazing for defense. But if you think between a handful of towns this side of the mountains that haven't already turned to the King of the North, you're not going to find as many allies as you think. But what you do have here is a strong, defensible position. I do not wish the Emperor to sit on his throne any longer than is necessary. But we do not have the numbers, nor would we in the surrounding towns or villages have the numbers to march on the capital itself. Stick to what you're good at. Fight in the shadows. There you'll be effective.
You find no justification in turning the Iron Army against the Emperor.
It won't happen. Here, yes, these brave souls. Yes, them. They have turned. Well, and he looks. You have not betrayed your oath, men. But you have chosen what is worth defending. And then he looks back to the Badger and says, you may get some, but you will not get the army. Because most of those men will be faced with two options: die on your spears or their own. Fight from the shadows. A well-placed dagger is more effective than a sledgehammer. And I think as he says that, he side-eyes Onsilus for half of a second. You learned a great deal here today. There are things at play larger than you or I. Just ride the storm, and it will break.
The Badger looks to you, Onsilus. What are your thoughts, nobleman?
I have a question, narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Before Onsilus was tasked with this job, what was the general feeling of those closest to the Emperor and the court that you would potentially hear whisperings of?
Tense. As Bogumir's disease progresses and his lack of an heir becomes more and more prevalent in his mind as he is ending his life span or nearing the end of his life, his paranoia is no longer a nuisance, but now a very dangerous weapon in its own right. You would know that General Casimir is loyal to Bogumir's cause as far as, should he die without an heir, there's a possibility he may be named as one. That being said, there are plenty of whispers of higher ranking officers within the Iron Army that could possibly be ones to descend from their loyalties. They don't agree with what Bogumir does with his time and the money and treasury that is spent so easily. Nor how they treat the Iron Army themselves.
I think Atlas looks to Lesh. I believe it is fair to hear the badger out. The army is weakened by Bogumir. Their trust in him wavers greatly. He is a sick man. He is making very questionable decisions. I see the potential for a dissent in his army if given the right push.
I do not disagree with you on that. However, the general himself has already eyed the throne. What's to stop him from just taking it?
We cause enough chaos. Perhaps it is us that can take care of that. What a problem. I would find no greater pleasure than that of ending the life of General Casimir. He has been a thorn in my side for some time in court.
So, use Casimir to get the armies, and then he just happens to die on the battlefield? Is that the gambit you're wanting to play?
It is an option.
There's no surefire way at all to garner all of the armies. And there's nothing to say that this won't run seriously afoul. But you're the tactician, and it has been very long since I have set foot inside the city.
I only know of the whispers I hear in court. I can feel the mood, taste the distrust in the air. If there was ever a time to sow chaos in the court, it would be now.
Then, if that is what you believe, I'll send riders in the morning. I still have a few friends.
The badger clears his throat. My men can get you to and through the mountains. Should we perhaps go through the mines? It is a more perilous journey, not for what lies within as far as man goes, but it is not easy to travel through iron mines. Or we can send you over the mountain. with a guide. And then he looks to the Iron Army soldier. You'll have an escort to the Iron City from there.
You make it sound all too easy.
I wish it was. I wish it was as simple as I said, but no matter which route you take, it is dangerous. The mountains are harsh. With the rain, sometimes near impossible to travel through. You'll be returning back to the cold, as I'm sure you so missed when you were in the north. But how else will you cross the spine? Unless you wish to go across down to the fetid wastes in the swamplands.
I think at that, Onslaught looks to Radek. He looks like he crawled right out of the swamplands.
All of you would know in your travels and understanding of the world and Onslaugh's education and geography, you would know that the fetid wastes is, while not necessarily a death trap, extremely dangerous. You would need to go through the entirety of the fetid wastes, which would put you in the pathway of whatever last remaining apostate synod is there, and then get on a boat to sail around to the Iron Peninsula to get to the Iron City.
I think Radek's going to finish patching up Lesh, slap him real hard on the wound, and then say, I don't care. And he's going to go and lie down next to the fire, and he's just going to lay down next to it, and he's going to promptly fall asleep.
Yeah, Radek, you're exhausted, but you feel every single bone in your body, and your skeleton feels like it wants to crawl out of your skin.
I let it.
Okay. Bye, skeleton.
The fetid
Mop there next to the fireplace and watch my skeleton.
That's fine. Okay.
The fetid wastes do provide an interesting opportunity.
What is this?
Well, no one be foolish enough to follow us into it.
Do you think that they would be foolish enough to follow us over the spine?
Oh, I think somebody would.
Unfortunately, this is where my knowledge fails. I will leave this to your decision, Lesh. I feel as though you would not steer us wrong.
I think at that, like, Lesh tries to hold back an actual sneer. Like, the moment he's like, I've got mad respect for this person, and then just goes, oh, passing the buck. Nice. They won't expect us to come by water. And if these individuals can be turned, these armies, well, nothing quite beats a city facing one direction and leaving their rear unopposed.
The badger laughs at this. A full belly laugh. He is most pleased to hear this. You, good sir, are quite the bastard.
I think he just looks at him like he has that moment of, why is the peasant speaking to me? And then he remembers where he's at for a moment kind of thing. You know, it's that whole, like, I am a soldier. You're playing one on the weekends. We are not the same. And so, like, it's one of those, you just kind of like, well, I'm glad it meets your approval.
Well, if they are facing the west and facing the east and facing the water, then they won't ever see our siege coming. We
One way or
stole
another, they'll get caught with their off guard.
those trebuchets for a reason.
Onsilis is looking between them. I've never been on a boat before.
Well, I can tell you this much. It gets very wet.
Any wetter than our everyday life?
Much.
Is it true that the sea can make you sick?
This is, and he stifles a laugh. Yes. Allow me, if you will. I assume there's not too many people in here.
It's just you guys, the Badger, the Soldier, and Artyom, and Kalyak, obviously.
Remember how I told you to lean with me earlier?
Yes.
Imagine that at a constant state.
Perhaps I should bring a bit of mint to chew on.
Probably.
Onsilis is going to look to Artyom. And what do you make of all of this, old friend?
He looks back to Kalyak. When I first met the girl, she was just a year or two younger than Agnieszka was at the time. I couldn't help but feel this need to protect her, to do right by her. Not for what she is, but because she was a child. An innocent. She still is an innocent. I think her best bet is to go through the fetid wastes. I think that is your safest bet for her.
Sounds as though we've come to an agreement then.
The soldier looks to you. I would like to come with you.
Done.
That was easier than I thought. Very well. It's good, I suppose. My name is Alexei.
Grab your gear. Come back to the Great Hall. You're one of us now.
Okay, I'll do that. You're going to need somebody to explain why you haven't made the rest of your checkpoints. And he sort of just scurries off.
Onsilis, like, slow turns to look at Lesh. Well, you've made friends of the Iron Army here. Would have thought feed them a bit of bread and wine.
Armies are very food-oriented.
Keep that in mind.
A quiet falls upon you all. An alliance has been made. Fully. Radek, as you are sleeping,
The sleep of the just.
what do you think it is that he would be feeling at this moment, thinking of, dreaming of?
Honestly, I think that he's a little at a loss right now because the one thing that's been driving him for so long was killing his brother, and it kind of just happened, and he kind of, at this point, suddenly goes, what am I doing now? And I think that while he's resting there, I don't know that he's actually sleeping, but I think he's just kind of realizing that the one thing that drove him on for so long is gone. And so I think he's just kind of wrestling with that and trying to come to terms with that and figure out what that means for him.
Okay. Onslus, how are you feeling? What are you thinking of at the moment? You have Kaliak there on the table who is hopefully not going to die, but it doesn't look great.
I think his concerns lie with the decisions being put in front of him. No matter what Lesh says, he's not a tactician. He's a man of logic, a learned man of logic, but he is not a tactician. He knows history, yes. He also doesn't know the land, not intimately, not the way that Radek or Lesh might. And reading something on the page of a book is a lot different than living inside of it. So I think there is a bit of anxiety and a touch of self-doubt there. Even after all the power he displayed today, there are just some things that are still very new to him.
Okay. Lesh, what are you thinking of?
I think Lesh tries to find a couple mugs of ale, goblets of wine, something. And I think he seeks Onslus out. He's been in his shoes before. He knows what it is to have people look at him. And I think he just offers him a drink.
Onslus would be standing next to Kaliak's body, looking down to her. And when you offer the drink, he slowly lifts his eyes to yours. He takes the drink. You fought well today.
I've seen many things. However, if you are, in fact, one of the last, I am glad that you're on my side and not staring at you across the field.
Let us pray then that there are no others like me out there.
I'm not that much of a gambling man, but I will say this. You wear the burden of command quite well. And no, it doesn't get any easier.
Thank you.
I think he, just to the side, not even like a full thing, just clinks the goblet, downs it, and gives a reassuring pat on the back, right? Just She'll be all right.
Onslaught takes a swig from his cup, and his eyes sink back down to watching Kaliak.
As you do, Kaliak's eyes shoot open, and she sits straight up, as though there is lightning in her chest. She looks directly at you, Onslaught, and she says, "There's 7 left."